Who rides better, men or women? In today's video, that is what I'm going to be covering. Who rides better, men or women? And you might be surprised what I have to say. I've actually worked around the world with horses. I've had thousands of students, both boys and girls, because in a lot of countries where I worked, like India and Egypt, actually it was a lot of men riding, more so than women, which is funny because when I work in Europe or, England or in the USA where I'm from, the majority of horse riders are women. So I have a lot of experience with both, and I have a whole lot of just like fun stories and information which I'm going to share with you today. Do not take this super seriously, okay? This is just an overall view of things, and obviously use your brain. There are differences and everybody is different, but it is a fun topic for discussion, and there are some things which you can learn based on, how it is that you might be riding based on if you're a man or a woman. Do me a favor and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and also like this video. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. And before you dive in and listen to what I have to say, men versus women, comment down below, who do you think are the better riders, men or women? After having coached thousands of students around the world in more than 20 different countries, 5 different continents, I'm pretty comfortable to say the differences between boys and girls when it comes to horseback riding. And actually, I have lots of funny stories because my own husband started learning to ride with me only 3 years ago. And a lot of the stereotypes that happen as a coach actually did come out of when my husband was learning to ride. So it was kind of a lot of fun for both of us to see how his, manness was affecting his training or his lessons with me. And by that, what I mean is not necessarily in a bad way. That just means that there are different things that women do and men do naturally, which might kind of decide how it is that we are communicating with our horse. And it's very interesting to know the difference of what it is that we're doing, because your horse might actually act differently with a male rider versus a female rider without you even really noticing or realizing that that's something that you do, because it's, subconscious. It's kind of programmed and you just do it naturally and you don't even think about it. For example, in Germany, I have my two horses and we got kind of stuck in Germany, and one of our neighbors who was very friendly and was letting us keep our horses with them, they had an issue with one of their horses. Now, they just have horses like for fun, like it's a hobby, they don't really get professional riding lessons or something like that. But because I was there, they were sort of reaching out to me a little bit because they were having a lot of problem with one of their mares. And the problem was that they have 2 like ponies for the kids, but then they have one mare which all of the grown-ups kind of share. So the husband rides this mare, the wife rides the mare, and then one of the oldest like teenage daughters also rides that mare. And they were having a lot of issues with this mare, like rearing or bucking or taking off with them and being very strong and very heavy. And so they didn't know what to do about this mare. And the husband, when he was telling me his story, he wasn't too concerned about it. And he was like, oh, well, she does it with me, but I don't care so much. The problem is when my wife goes to ride, if she tries that same thing, then she falls off and now she's scared to ride her and I don't know what to do. And so, one of the things which men and women do differently, well, first of all, men are very upper body oriented, okay? Naturally, they are stronger with their arms and their upper bodies, and not only are they naturally stronger, but they tend to use their upper body more than women, okay? And they're very upper body focused. So usually, if you see, people that are very like fit and athletic, usually women get very strong and very athletic lower bodies, like very muscular legs, and they're very good at running or jogging, whereas men, not that they can't be good at running and jogging, but men tend to usually focus on the upper body, their arms, and they're always bench pressing, and how much do you bench press, and how much do you, I don't know what. And it's just because that's part of their natural genetics, and that's sort of what they focus on most subconsciously. So that plays a big part into their horse riding. So that particular mare was having this man ride her, very strong, and he's very strong. I mean, he was probably like a 200-pound, I don't know, 6 foot whatever tall German man, and his wife is half his size. You know, she's very skinny, very tiny, like 2 foot shorter than her husband, and she just physically cannot be as strong as him. So he would just kind of manhandle the mare whenever she started to be naughty. And that same tactic didn't work when his wife would try it, because he's stronger. He taught the mare to be strong, and now his wife, when his wife puts those same buttons on, the mare doesn't even register it, because in her brain, she is used to feeling X amount of pounds of pressure on her mouth or on the reins or whatever, and that is her now signal for stopping. So anything less than, I don't know, 200 pounds of pressure, she just doesn't even acknowledge it. And that's a problem. So I had this happen a lot when I was working at a lot of Grand Prix riding stables for show jumping. If I rode a horse which was trained by a very like testosterone-y man, then I had a hard time breaking that horse or stopping that horse or slowing it in between jumps. And it wasn't because I wasn't a good rider, it was because that horse needed someone strong because it had been taught that way, and I just physically could not do that. So I preferred in my career actually riding the younger horses, which hadn't already been trained by a man, because I could make sure that the horse was very soft and very pleasant for me to ride. Now, of course, I've ridden a lot of professional male Olympic level or top level show jumpers who know how to ride soft and are not always pulling with their hands, but you know, it does happen. And my husband even experienced this himself when he first started learning to ride, even though my husband is not a very testosterone-y macho man at all. He's very slim, very slender. He's got like a swimmer's body. He's actually built for riding horses, basically. He is not testosterone. He's not macho. He's not very aggressive. He's actually a very kind, gentle kind of human being. But he also would naturally start going, pulling on the reins when he felt nervous or scared in the beginning. So that was something that I had to work with him on. Now, I'm only saying this for you to be aware that it's something that you might be doing if you are a man that you don't even realize. And you might not realize that you're asking your horse much stronger than your wife or, daughter would be asking that same horse. Now, when it comes to women, obviously there's a lot of women riding in the USA and in Europe, and we do a pretty good job. And in fact, the great thing about horse riding is that it is the only sport in the Olympics where men and women compete equally, which I love. So it actually doesn't matter if you are a woman or a man, because women also have other tendencies. Now, women, I would say the biggest limitations that women have is actually not physical limitations, okay? It might be in the sense of, the example that I said, maybe that horse is super strong and we're learning and we're trying to wrestle that horse, but it just doesn't work for us because we're just not that strong. So we can't manhandle our horses. So women have to actually learn techniques. We have to learn techniques, and we have to learn how to do things correctly, because if we don't learn how to do things correctly, then, that horse could overpower us. Like, it could be stronger than us if it wanted to. So for women, one of the, let's say, things that we have to overcome is usually our mindset. And that sounds really silly, but we are naturally mothers, we're naturally very caring, we don't really want to tell the horse what to do maybe, or we want to sort of baby them a little bit. Now obviously this is not for everyone, but we definitely have a motherly intuition and instincts, and so we have to kind of learn how to also have a partnership and communicate with our horses and be a little bit more confident and actually ride a little bit more assertive almost. That has nothing to do with, being stronger with our hands or, using a whip more. All it is an energy thing, okay? It's having confidence in ourselves. There's a difference between riding around like this and riding around like this, like you own the room, okay? Like when you walk in the door and you're just like, I own this place, okay? So that is something that women typically have to learn because we don't necessarily do it naturally. And another thing that women do, because we always, and again, maybe it's part of our motherly instincts, we always put others before ourselves. So that can kind of affect our riding in the sense of, if, for example, you have a friend at the stables who wants to ride and you want to go on a ride with them, you might actually not be ready or confident to go outside on a trail with your, I don't know, green horse, but you might kind of cave and go with that friend anyways because, you know, you don't want to disappoint your friend, for example. So, you know, that is not going to benefit you. You know, obviously you have to know your capabilities and you have to stay safe. And if staying safe means, you know, saying no to your friend, then that might be something that we as women need to work on. So, to answer the question, are men or women better in the saddle? Which one is it? And the answer is, obviously, we are both equal, and it is the only sport where men and women are truly equal. And it's the same with horses. We can compete and win in the Olympics on a mare just as much as we can on a gelding or on a stallion. And for that, I think the equestrian sports will always, always, always be the best. If you agree, be sure to hit that subscribe button and also like this video. It helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for watching and happy trails.